right. Hello, everybody. I have a special guest today, Rich Anderson from, I always say Minnesota, somehow it's just a state, but he's in Minneapolis. I don't know, it's just somehow these two things is like crazy for me. So actually, he started to work with us around 3 months ago, and he has a really special team behind him, and what I see that they were really moving forward, and I wanted to just a little bit get out of the how he thinks this whole thing is working, what was their issues, why they need to choose like the solution like ours and things like that. So this video is going to go to clients only, so I would like to help other clients reach to get best practices, what you tried, what was working, with your team, with yourself, and where you are pushing this whole thing. And probably we can have like another thing like in another 3 months, and we'll see like how we progress. So a little bit tell the audience about you and a little bit of the company and the culture, so they can feel like what's your background.
Sure. So let's. The company's Imagine IT. We have about 30 people. As Danish said, we're in the Minneapolis, Minnesota area. I've been doing this for several years. We were the result of a merger of two other MSPs that were fairly immature in our offering. We had a nice recurring revenue model, but we didn't do much else. And we've now grown very quickly. And so we're starting to reach into the M part of SMB, and those mid-sized clients are starting to ask for more. We can't just be a help desk. We can't just send a technician on site who's really smart. They actually want some strategy and some analysis. And what we're finding is that there are a couple people on our team, myself included, as well as my partner, we're pretty good at that. But we're really struggling with making a consistent, replicatable model. And when those clients came to us and said, hey, we have this CRM, or we have this SharePoint project, or we have this, we were having trouble drawing the line between what we could do as part of our MSP and what we should charge extra for. And we definitely did not have a process to offer that as a standalone offering. And so we're around 4 million now. We have a pretty aggressive goal to probably double in the next 3 years. And we really need to figure this out. If we're going to become more of that mid-sized market player, you need to actually be able to have those conversations with those decision makers regarding strategy and analysis. So that's kind of where we're at. When we met Danish, we were pretty well underway with a formalized account management process. We were doing some of the low-hanging fruit. We were having our QBR meetings, and we were reviewing reports and trying to establish a value proposition on the managed services side. But we were really struggling with anything more than MSP stuff, right? So as soon as they started talking about CRM or SharePoint or things that maybe we didn't have expertise, we tended to put on our blinders and smile a lot and kind of walk the walk, but we didn't own it. We didn't take it. We definitely did not manage it because we're not experts. And so that was really what drew us to Danish. We met at IT Nation almost a year ago now, Danish. So it's been a little while, and that's what drew us to him, and it's been an interesting journey trying to figure out how to leverage, I wouldn't even say the tools, but the approach and the methodology that you teach to give us some foundation of doing that.
My first question, is that when we speak about infrastructure, what the traditional managed service is offering, right? The managed service value proposition is like keep the lights on and peace of mind. What is under some certain level of devices, whatever. Where you see that the line is there when you are comfortable with your traditional managed service offering, which is included, everybody thinking that's included, you think that's included, your people knows that inside, and where is this little gray area where it could be in the offering, it could be the MSP stuff, and where you see that no, it's totally like a virtual CIO or some other type of offering which we somehow have to learn and implement and things like that. How you see those 3 different layers?
It's a great question. And if you had a pure offering, in other words, if you were just a consultant and you actually did not do anything,
Yeah.
it might be more clear for you. Or if you were just a break fix shop, it's very clear. When anything outside, right? It's like you said, when you have an MSP offering that is more inclusive, now it becomes blurry, because when you say included, your client hears everything is included,
Yeah.
and you hear less is included. So for us, you mentioned infrastructure, workstations and servers and switches and firewalls and hubs and all those types of things. As long as we're maintaining all of those operations and cycling out the old equipment and adding new equipment and maybe putting a printer here, that's all included. We do have some internal debates at times if someone does a massive facelift. So they're doing a complete rollout of Windows 10 or something like that. And then now it's starting to feel pretty big. And so we draw the line, at least for consideration, around the 4-hour mark. If we know that we have a project that is 4 hours or more, now we're starting to hit something that doesn't feel like maintenance. Anything less than that, a couple workstations are not a big deal. But if they're going to rip and replace a server infrastructure, okay, now we have a project. But there is another, you talked about 1, 2, and 3 layers. I think that layer is probably number 2. That top layer are all the other stuff that we weren't talking about, the CRM and the ERPs and the SharePoints and all those things. And we were excluding those from our offering. The problem is we were also excluding them from our revenue.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
like we weren't doing them, right? There's all this opportunity, and we just weren't even touching
it's like it was really interesting. Elizabeth, your account manager, dig out something with a client. Can you explain this accounting system kind of thing? I think it's really typical.
Well, and it is. This is a small account. This isn't even a mid-size, so small account, and they were looking for help on kind of an RFP process of going and finding a new accounting system. They didn't want us to become the accounting system experts. They actually wanted our help facilitating which options should we consider, what are the factors we're using to decide. When we actually implement this, we need someone to project plan and manage and collaborate and communicate and escalate and all these things that project management does. And again, we weren't really doing that very well. And she, as an account manager, felt obligated to help them in some way, right? We all want to help our clients. We know that this is great trust building, but that's a big project.
And the other thing, like, she saw the opportunity, right? She can't be there like, yeah, we don't do that or whatever. So it's her credibility was on the line, right? And she had to say, yes, we are going to do that. You just lie. Yes, we are capable to do that. No worries. And go back and reach. Holy cow, So and that's, I think that's the layer where you and the managed services has to go back and okay, now I have to figure it out, because it's clearly out of the scope of the current offering. So you can ask additional revenue, or it's an additional revenue option. However, like if you think about what was the problem, like what we try to or how she's able to figure it out now rather than 6 months ago, what do you see the difference?
Well, I think it's comfort in knowing how to deal with that. We didn't have a process in place before to actually handle it. So we identified it, and her instincts told her that this is probably not included, but her heart told her she wanted to help.
Yeah.
We didn't have a way to do that before, and now we do. And what we would do is we would sit down and talk to them about the challenges they're about to face, right? If you don't have a good project manager and you don't approach this strategically, all sorts of problems are going to happen downstream. And we knew that instinctually, but we didn't know that from a sales pitch, right? And so now we can have a very meaningful conversation and say, here are the challenges you're about to face, and we can help. And here's what that looks like, and here's the price for that. We could actually do more strategic, or we could actually get our hands dirty and really get into the project management. And I don't think we had a good conversation around that before.
Right. So that's what I saw with Elizabeth as well, that she get this comfort and the process for like a 10-point exercise or a second or a third, it gives the ability for you or for the managed service to nurture a process. Because what I see the biggest problem here in that project area is like to even get to what is the scope in the project is work.
Right.
But who is going to
Yes.
finance that work?
Right.
And if you can't really say what's the process for that and what's the beginning and the end, it's not like boxed product, you can't really, charge for that. So you end up, your account managers end up to work lots of free stuff, dig out lots of things, and for example, this project wouldn't be your biggest project because probably you are going to get on board other accounting systems which they are going to implement the necessary functions. So my question, go back to this layer stuff a little bit. Like Brad Scow in HTG created like a little pyramid. Like in the pyramid was like really like, cables, wires, firewalls, then some kind of device layer or server layer, some device layer, and on the device there was the operational system layer, and then the application layer started to be on this gray area. On the application the data area, and on the top the information, because like data and information of course is different. So what he was saying, like the big money on the information and data and the application layer. So for example, accounting system is an application.
Yes.
What you put in this and how you work on this accounting system is the data layer. And basically the reports and the dashboards and everything which drives your decisions are the information layer. And right now, if you think about in a practical perspective, we created all these abundance of internet and devices and everything, and the bottleneck here is that those three up. Have you heard about this thing?
It sounds very similar to like an OSI kind of a model. And you had a word in there that I think is enlightening to me, and that is decision. And what I mean by that is if I were to approach that project that you described 6 months ago, it was just a project, right? You saw it, and we'd either work on it or we wouldn't work on it. But I think after working with you and learning more about the vCIO role, I've learned to appreciate more the responsibility of making good decisions. And I think that you talked about information on the top of that pyramid. That the real strategy behind that information was actually made when they decided that they needed a new accounting system, right? Like, so our goal is actually to get at the table that the decision is made. When you're being asked to participate in a project, you're already one step removed from where you would like to be, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That makes so that strategic seat at the table we all talk about, and that trusted advisor role that we all talk about. Project manager is not really a trusted advisor. They are, but not as much as I would like to be. I want to be at the table where we talk about this initiative and this initiative and this initiative, and we agree that the accounting system is a strategic initiative that we need to move forward with. Then we can determine who the team is, right?
Yeah.
That decision is a big one.
So actually, like in this case, the delivery is important to have a confidence, like what you do, what to deliver, what the VCI is delivering. In that sense, the ongoing virtual CIO services, you said that. Okay, so can you explain where you are at with this? Not implementing somehow that designing your virtual CIO services, like line items and the structure.
Yeah, but it's. If you ask 100 people what's in a vCIO, you're going to get 100 different answers, right? So there is really no right answer, but there is a right answer for you. And it's the answer that you're capable of delivering and you are comfortable selling. And so what we've done is we've used some of the materials that we've talked about in our sessions, and a couple of them were like, wow, this is great. I know how to do this. This is what. And a couple line items were like, not so sure. So we don't even show the client that one yet because I'm not ready to confidently deliver it. But we're probably 75% of the line items we kept, and we maybe added a couple other line items that we felt very comfortable with. I think the epiphany to me, though, was the rhythm. The whole idea that the CIO is not a project.
Yeah.
It is a continuous role to help strategize and identify projects, prioritize, and then oversee the decision making of which projects we do and not do. And you simplified it wonderfully in one session where you showed us the annual rhythm, the quarterly rhythm, the monthly rhythm, and the weekly rhythm. And as I looked through each line item, it became very clear as to which of those line items fell into which frequency.
Yeah.
And I've now developed a version of that offering where I showed it to the client and I just said, here's all the things we can do. Here's the frequencies we can do them. Tell me where to put, where's the little check mark go, right? It's almost like a menu that they get to order from.
Exactly,
right?
And that's what I see, that it's the rhythm is really important. And the other thing is important, what you said, you see that we called it customized vCIO service offering. It's not implementing ours. That's the perfect example. You get what you are comfortable, and what's meaningful is that how you create the boundaries. So because you have these menu items around you, it's never you the bottleneck. So it's like, Rich is not a good vCIO. No, it's like my decision as a client was to choose that package. If I need more, I can get another package, but it's always my responsibility to which package I choose and what's the result I get. And I think that's the true thing. Like if you buy this new iPhone, I get a 16 gigs or a 64, right? That's my decision. It's not like, hey, it doesn't have enough space. It's a crap because I can't take that many pictures. No, it's my decision, my fault or something like that. Okay. So that was the first. The second is in these rhythms is how to keep flexible but stay standardized. Because every line item you have, Rich, is a standardized thing. You have, you know what to do. Like usually I say like a Lego blocks. These are the different cycles and different Lego blocks you have. And you build the little castle for the client. And probably most of the client will need a different type of castle. Why? Because you can standardize your infrastructure, but this is a manufacturing company, this is a professional service company. Probably they use the same routers, they use the same Windows 10. But if you go to the application layer and information layer, you probably need more customization, and that was the problem behind the vCIO, is that every client you might need a different approach, and how the heck you do that in a viable circumstances, and that's these line items and standardization. Does it make sense?
Well, it does, and I think you hit on another topic that is kind of was a little bit of an epiphany. I think I knew it, but it was good to admit it, and that is we don't have to make all the decisions. We have to facilitate the decisions. We don't have to be experts at all those things. We have to make sure experts are included, right? I think there is a challenge for many MSPs. They think they need to know all the answers, right?
Yes, but just imagine. I had a talk with a guy. I think yesterday, and I was asking like, wait. So just think about, because I get all the time this type of, I don't know the CRM, I don't know the ERP, I'm a tech guy, I'm comfortable there. But to tell me, Rich, for running an MSP, how many dozens of applications you have to choose, implement, push through with your people, from ConnectWise to Dev Director to whatever, all the stuff. You are a machine to implement and utilize technology, right?
Yeah, we have a lot of it. Yeah.
Check out your manufacturing company or professional service company. They have Windows 10, something for billing, 5, 6, 7, 10 application, I don't know.
Yeah.
And you know that by nature, as you think the way you do, you are process factory, right? You need to processize everything in MSP because everything is on the air. So you can put it like tickets and everything. So the instinct and your background qualifies you to go there and ask the question, and you don't know the answer, but you know what's the process to get to the answer. You know the need, you figure out the need, you go Google out different options, you see like 10 different SaaS-based application, pick 3, check those, and put back, and that's all. And those going to be your, how to say, solution, the new solution stack, like an MSP2 solution stack, like now is like your router, or whatever is in your solution stack. The MSP2 solution stack will be Evernote and Trello, and I don't know what applications you are going to suggest for different problems. But, and what I see that the guy was telling me, hey, but the CEO can Google it out. Yes, he can Google it out, but he won't. That's why he doesn't use those stuff.
Sure.
And I think that's like underestimation what we know and how we work and how, you know, we do those things, and somehow overestimation of their capacities.
Well, agreed. I mean, Googling it is definitely a step of the process.
Exactly, but that's not the process.
But it is only one step of the process. The process is much bigger.
Yeah, choosing, you know, get people on board, train them and whatsoever, and create the ecosystem. Like, you know what was the really interesting stuff? Day before yesterday, we get together in this group coaching session in Basecamp. And, you know, I asked you and the others, and okay, let's go through Basecamp. And I had to go through on Basecamp, which was for me like, I wouldn't say frustrating, but you know, Basecamp is a really easy software, right? It's just, you know, why I should go through on that? I was like, you know, these are IT guys around. It's like really the easiest project management software ever, right? And then I realized that there were like tricks like how I put those, you know, thing on my email and send back to Basecamp, how I utilize the calendar feature, and I was thinking, holy cow, yeah, that's the knowledge. The knowledge is not to how to click in the software. The knowledge is how to solve a certain problem with the tool. Yeah. And I think that's like when you have a really easy to-do application, you can create a week worth of training program around that. How you set your goal, where you put this goal, how you use weekly meet, you know. So I think that's the other thing which the MSPs has to move, is that was the use cases. And the use cases helps them to understand one thing. So it's like, and what I see is, I don't want you to tell, but you know, what was the pivot for you on this process? You started to learn a little bit, checking out, and what was those elements when this whole thing started to, you know, spin?
Boy, it's a good question. There was probably a number of those. Thankfully, we had a client asking for these services, and so we were learning, and then we were talking, and learning, and I was kind of trying it out as we were going, right? And I think that one of the big moments for me is that there wasn't any one thing into here that required a PhD in some IT, you know, Harvard class, right? Like, this wasn't super complicated. As long as you had a process that repeated, and as long as you had some very simple tools to use, like the 10-point exercise or some of the Canvas exercises, it wasn't that hard. But you know, you and I spoke, and you've brought this up many times. The reason you call this MSP 2.0 is because we're kind of going through the same process we did when we were trying to talk to our break-fix clients 10 years ago about a managed service package, right? The sales pitch is hardly even a sales pitch. It's more of a training education session.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's what managed services looks like, right? And I've gone through that. And so when I realized those components, and I went, wow, if I just educate them as to the risks and the upsides and the things that a vCIO should be doing, they'll buy it. I just have to show them the menu. Right? I don't need to sell this. I don't need to talk them into this. I just need to understand it, right?
Yeah, and what I like what you said was like your clients was asking for that, and I would put in a different way. You heard that.
Sure.
Because like I guess most of the clients are asking for that from their MSPs, but the client can't explain what they want. He just explains a frustration. He explains something which is a problem. The other side, the MSP, doesn't hear that this is that. So that's kind of a tragedy, right? Because it's like he would be able to do that, but somehow he. So that's why I was saying nobody's going to ask you for doing vCIO stuff unless you show them what's the value, and that's why usually I'm advocating having a pilot project and do something and show them the value, because that's like, okay, I get it, kind of thing. So go ahead.
No, it's a good point. We talked about that accounting system as being a door opener for that one account, but isn't there always a project? I mean, there's always something, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think as soon as you realize that, small clients might only have something happening every 3 to 6 months, but they always have something. Bigger accounts might have 12 projects a year, right? They might have a lot going on. As soon as you kind of can sense that that's happening or that's there, now you see the big picture. But when you're just looking at that one project, you think, oh, how do I sell this project, and how do I do?
Yeah, exactly. And you know what is the fascinating stuff which I get back from somebody else is like, he told me that, you know what, the IT problems in the IT space, what we can solve is finitive, right? That can be lots of stuff, but it's still finitive. If you solve most of them, that's okay. So if you ask your client, hey, do you have any IT problem, or a prospect? No, fine, everything is good, okay. But if you ask this stuff in a business sense, everything is right with your business. If somebody says to you, yes, everything is fine, he's lying or he's dumb. Right? Because there is that's infinitive. Yeah, not right now, I need to fix this, that. So somebody told me, like, every company from internally is like shit. Even it's like really nice looking, it's shit inside. Why? Because the people see always the next problem. So for them, it's never good. It's never good processes, right? Because they need to push more. From you see outside as, holy cow, we are really mature. But still has problems. So if you go with that type of question and you figure out what's the next process or what you need to fix, then you can turn it into some kind of IT stuff, because your accounting firm doesn't want to change the accounting system. They have several business problems. They realized go back to the accounting system, but most of the time they don't get that far. They just have the process problems. Like, just see, okay, show me your Excel files, right? How many opportunities there? Just checking out, like, holy cow. Right. Yeah, so it's like it's totally infinitive, and that's a kind of good in the MSP too. It's not going to be disrupted until they have business problems in the world. Fortunately, the success of the IT infrastructure that's why it's a victim right now. Victim of their own success. We are so good. We became so good. The tools became so good that everybody can solve the problem right now. So that's a kind of, I know it's a little bit philosophical, but still I think really valid and really practical in several sense.
Yeah, we've talked a little bit about the consultative sales approach too, and I think that's something that some of our peers are going to need to figure out. It's a different sales approach. We've probably spent, 3-4 weeks, maybe a cumulative of 10 hours attending some of their management meetings and going to some of their project-specific discussions. But here's what happened, Danish. We walked in with one project kind of in mind, and it was a tax program that they were looking to, this is not Elizabeth, this is a different account, but a tax program that they were interested in having us help with. If I had just gone in with that one project, I would have dove in, I would have offered to project manage, but as a result of going to those other meetings and getting invited to some of those other discussions, I now have a list of over 20 projects that they weren't aware of right? I mean, I think they were, but they didn't realize they were all projects. And so here's what now happened. I said, we can't do them all at once. The company would implode, right? We have to strategically align which one's most important, and then what's the next one, next one. We created a roadmap for them. They've never seen a roadmap.
Yeah.
Right?
Most of the clients are not that.
Right. For you and me, a roadmap makes a lot of sense, but they don't know what a roadmap is. And so now we roadmap things, and of course there's dependencies and things, oh, we can't do that until we do that. Oh, wait, we should probably upgrade the server, right? And one of the warnings that I've given to them is I said, these were the 20 projects I identified by listening. I haven't even started asking questions, right? If I were to start doing some visualization exercises and saying, how could we engage with our clients better, or how could our employees, right? Like you could probably come up with another 20 rather easily. And by the way, one of those 20 should probably be on the short-term roadmap, and we haven't even put it there. So I think that another epiphany that you ask, what was my turning point? Another epiphany is that I can actually help them be more strategic by just helping create that roadmap, but order the projects so that they get the biggest results sooner. That was pretty awesome to know that I could be part of that, even if I'm not doing the work.
Yeah, right? It just keeping all the stuff, in control.
Yes.
And you have the outside power, like a consultant. Lots of companies need somebody from outside to make the order and things like that. And can you tell me what was the process for when you get there? So how you did that? What was the different meetings? You said like it was a couple of meetings.
Well, so they had what they call an IT steering committee, which was different representatives from the different departments. And I asked if I could just attend and listen. And they said, yeah, come on. And I didn't charge them, right? Yeah. Because why do I not? This is free information. And so I listened to their dysfunctional meeting, and I just wrote down notes, no agenda, and didn't start on time, and we didn't have a clear definition of success when we actually made a decision, and all these dysfunctional, that happens all the time, right? They're just bad meetings all over the place. So I took a lot of notes. And then at the end, I did something that we do in our meetings. I asked everybody to rate the meeting on a scale of 1 to 10. Well, so the person running the meeting, a little painful, right? Because there was a 4 and a 3 and a 6. And I said, so what would have made it better? And then they told me, I wish we had an agenda. I wish we'd talked about this project. I wish we didn't talk about... I said, well, that's good information. And so not only did I gather a lot of good information on projects, but I also was able to establish myself as someone who's going to help them get a better meeting, right? Then they had a very tactical meeting with their IT folks. What things are you working on today? And I was able to reveal that they didn't have a project plan. They did not have any kind of visualization statement that showed the purpose of the project. We did not have a buy-off. We didn't have a budget. We didn't... on any of the projects. They were working on things.
Spinning the wheels.
They were making progress, kind of, but were they making it on the most important thing? And when they got done, would everyone agree that it was exactly what they wanted? Yeah. No, right? And so I think getting invited to those meetings, even if it takes you 10 hours of work, you have to look at the big picture. Yeah. This is going to be a $100,000 account for me. Do I care about 10 hours? No. Right? But you need that's all ammunition.
Exactly, really ammunition. And if you just, so for example, demonstrating how a meeting can be done, that's I usually like put the 10-point exercise there all the time, because it's really easy for everybody to understand and conduct, and there is beginning and the end. You don't really have the capacity to go inside, and sidetrack, and it creates some really effective work. And the people are usually they shocked that, hey, I usually shocked when I do a 10-point exercise. I don't put any thought inside. This is theirs. Just, shuffling that and, figuring out what's important. For them, this is a revelation. And for me, it's like, holy cow, you know why you are not doing? I don't know. Right. It's just magic, really. So it's like alignment and usually because of lack of management, lack of, bad meetings, things like that. They are suffering on that. So it's like, I'm not saying it's management consultant, but consultancy, because it's like it's not perfectly, because it's much more practical, and you have like your scope, but you create like a island of excellence, what they can see that okay, so we can work this way. That's interesting. So that's awesome. So what's next? What do you see your next couple of months down the road in that journey?
I think like I said, this one was a little bit easy, and you corrected me when I said they asked for it. You're right, they didn't. We identified it. I think what's next in our journey is to start being more aware of the other partners that are asking for this, right?
Listening.
To actually create some opportunities to show them our menu of services and to engage in them at a higher level. We have a couple that we're already talking to, and they are very interested. Of course, we haven't shown them the price tag, but we also haven't sat in their meetings and made a list of all those projects and done all of that due diligence. So I think if we talk again in 6 months, we've gone from a couple clients that are interested to probably closer to double digit, 10 clients, where we now have to think about recruiting those types of people on our team and developing maybe Basecamp proficiency, or there's different tools. ConnectWise is not super helpful for this type of account management. It's good for billing, right, and time management, but when you're collaborating with the client, it's different. And so we have a little bit of internal skills to develop, and we have some messaging that we need to work on, and then we need to reach out to some partners that we know will hear us and work with us, and we're very excited about this. I think this moves us kind of up the maturity level and protects us from the commoditization that's happening in the MSP space, right? Like you said, anybody can install a server nowadays, and so that's not really a differentiator anymore. We've got to move up that decision tree.
Exactly, and the sales portion, like Mark is or the other director who is doing. He started this ITCQ process and this thing. What was all about?
Well, so our sales process was very tactical, right? We would talk to them about backups and server obsolescence and things like that, and we would go do a detailed audit of their network, like most of us do. But we weren't asking a lot of the business questions, and so the IT compliance questionnaire, the ITCQ, was very helpful. It's pre-canned, it's easy. I send them a link, they click on it, fill it all out. But now you have a conversation that says, wow, based on your answers, I haven't verified them, but based on your answers, you're at a 33 out of 100, and that means that IT is actually a problem. It's holding you back. We need to at least get you up to a 50. So let me talk to you about what that looks like, right? If we just fix this, this, and this, which, by the way, are all projects on my list of projects, right? If we just fix this, this, and this, we can at least get you up to a 50. So I know that you wanted, Mr. Client, you had asked me for Office 365, and you wanted mobile device management, but did you realize your backups weren't being tested? And did you realize that you don't have documented policies and procedures, or whatever those things are? So all you're doing, it's just another tool to throw more things onto the list to educate them that it isn't one project we're talking about, it's 12.
It's
right? This isn't a one-time thing. This is a recurring thing.
And what was because what I would like to ask, like you are a business leader, right? So you don't do alone. You have people around you. And what do you think, like let's turn it back. Like if I would ask Rich, I see this reframe stuff and I would like to start, what do you suggest to me to do first, second, third? How based on your expertise on that, just how would you start if you would start again, or if I have a sales guy, what to do with that, the account manager, the marketing people?
Yeah, it's I don't know that I have a good answer because I remember having these conversations as we went, right? And there was always chicken and egg. Do I give big picture or do I give tactical tools? Do I teach them how to do a 10-point exercise, or do we talk about the different ways it could be used? And somehow you have to tease with the finish line, knowing that they can't get there, right? But you say, when you are fully functional and you've reframed your accounts, here's what it looks like, and wow, won't this be great? And then they see that and go, well, I can't do any of that. And so it's very frustrating,
Yeah, okay.
right? So then what I would probably do is one by one say, well, let's talk about a 10-point exercise. Now you're going to be able to use that for here and here and here and here and here. So we need to learn the skill. It's very easy. Let me show you, right? You've got the canvases behind you. And so there might be a line item there that says, do a business model canvas exercise with the management team. Well, I don't know that. Okay, well, good. Let's learn that now, right? So it's almost like a curriculum, but it's more client-facing curriculum.
Exactly.
Right, so these are the skills we need to learn when we're fully invested.
Yeah, so
I don't know though; it's hard.
it's I try to learn that as well with you and other clients, and I see different scenarios. And what we did this month is the easy initiative. So like we have tutorials, use cases like something like cut all this BS and just focus on one thing. So it's not frustrating somebody. And using those use cases for sales, marketing, vCIO can start the spinning, right? So when I was seeing Mark was really your sales director it was really like, we don't do that way, I don't want to learn this thing, give me the tool which works really fast, and he wasn't engaged, right? So we can say. And what made the difference for him when he was when he had the first meeting, and the client was saying, wow, and he was like so pumped up. I remember that he wanted to put those together, and probably, and I think for Elizabeth was the same. Have the client meeting and see the client need that, and I think for many services, and now I try to create something for them that to go to your clients without any knowledge and every tool and get the positive feedback, and the positive feedback makes you motivated, and because then in this case it's not your fate, somebody validated that, hey, wow, this is really what's happening. So that's, I think, what I was saying to Brandon as well, that don't learn. Do something and you are going to pick the learning down the road, because it's like an iterative process, a little bit up, a little bit down, a little bit all of them, but it's not like go have a degree on vCIO and go start implementing, because your clients are not there,
right?
You should somehow develop with them as well. So it's like I'm really, learn a lot about this whole journey, and, talking with people and different cultures and different sizes. So it's really good. And thank you very much for helping us, because I think you were able to really explain those, items fairly quickly. If you just, have 3 tips for other users, like what would be the 3 takeaway for you, or what you tried and made this happen, what you were saying, just like in closing thoughts?
Well, I think one is to find that cooperative client who's willing to walk the path with you. If you feel obligated to give it to him for free, that you would not advise it, but I would advise doing something. Right? Let them know that you're looking into this new thing, and can I experiment with you, and right, because like you said, doing it is way more important than learning. You have to try this stuff. Thankfully, we had a couple of accounts we could do that. The second thing I would probably recommend is blocking time. The lessons and the tutorials and the stuff are great, but you actually need time to think about and look at it. So you go into your training and your goals and open them up and read the steps, and maybe you don't do every exercise, but you have to read through it, and you have to open the spreadsheets and look at them and think about it. And then a third one, boy, that's a good one. I would say don't, I have a saying with my team is version 0.1 is better than version 0. Yeah. Don't wait for version 1.0 to go live. Just whatever you can do on day 1, that's your product. Go, right? Like you already have something. If you look at it and there's 3 things you can do, you've got a vCIO offering. It will get better on version 0.2 and 0.3, right?
Somebody told me, give me the minimum viable product of vCIO.
Yes.
And that was the light version. If you see the light version, we didn't have a light version. The light version was like, hey, this is your account management stuff. You do that already. But to frame it, and somehow feel comfortable. Hey, yeah, the light version we already do that kind of thing. That makes sense. So what's the next? It's much more easy to move and make real for the people. Like you already do some of those items. So awesome! I'm really pumped up, and yeah, thank you very much for that. And thank you very much. Thank you, and have a next talk in 3 to 6 months and see where you are at then.
Sounds great, Danish. Thank you very much.